because thinking of like the negative things, I just don't feel good with it. So I think for me to actually do something about my life, for me to have a good life, I just started having that hope
Hmm.
to have these things I want. Like that hope actually made me continue to take actions or try to enjoy life as much as I can, even when I was like little. Yeah, even at a young age, I was like, I had this very big hope. I even go to church a lot because I really believe that God will make things better for me. So I was at that very low part of my life, but I still go to church because when I realized like, oh, I cannot control that, or maybe God took my mom, but things will get better. Maybe he has plans for me and things like that. So that's when I had that hope, I just started seeing things more positively.
Emerge Stories is a place where, as the name implies, you are going to hear stories. Stories from people all over the Philippines who have come from many different types of backgrounds, and especially people who have gone through struggles, people who have gone through the challenging parts of life. And I hope that these stories will relate for you in some way, that some of these stories will really land for you because these people have gone through probably just about the same thing you might be going through right now. Welcome back to Emerge Stories. Today we're telling the story of Raizza, or Rai. She's from Cebu, and despite losing her mom at a very young age and being the eldest of four, being quite responsible for taking care of her younger siblings to some degree, she has chosen to prioritize her experiences, prioritize solo travel. And Raizza has this attitude she's developed where she just says, fuck yeah to things. She says yes to opportunities. And even though it might seem like she couldn't, she did it anyway. Like she found ways to work remotely and she found ways to continue taking care of the people that she cares about, but also prioritize herself because we can't take care of other people if we don't take care of ourselves. And if we want to take care of people better, we've got to grow ourselves. I think Riza is doing an amazing job of that. I hope you're inspired by her story as much as I am. And if so, please take a moment, as always, to share this with somebody, put it on social media, help us get the reach out there so that these stories can inspire more people to take ownership of their learning and growth. Thanks for being here. Let's jump into the story. Rai, welcome to Emerge Stories. Thank you so much for taking time to be here.
Thank you so much for having me, Eli. I have watched the previous videos and it's amazing to be invited for something like this with you guys.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, you're somebody that Gladys and I have witnessed you growing a lot as a person. So would love to hear some of your story and how that's happened. By the way, where are you right now?
I am in Bali right now. I just came from a trip from Vietnam and then Singapore, and now I'm staying in Bali for maybe like 2 months. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. I've been seeing some of your photos and looks like you've been to some incredible places and you're working remotely while you're doing that, right?
Yes, I am. I'm doing freelancing, so it's really good because I can like manage my time and enjoy life while I work and earn.
And you're 20.
I just turned 25 this
Okay,
June, actually.
awesome. So yeah, like just starting out with the conversation, just tell us a little bit about like what kind of work do you do and what's that freelancing stuff?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I am Rai. I am currently working as a virtual assistant where I act as an executive assistant or social media manager for business people. And my company is like a digital company from Cebu, Philippines, but our clients are from the US.
Nice. And
So,
you're originally from Cebu, right?
yeah, I am
Okay,
from.
cool. So I'd love to hear, some of the things that you've learned in your journey, but let's go back to your earlier parts of life. Like what was your childhood like and kind of what was it like growing up? What was your background?
When I was like 9 years old, my mom passed away. That she left me and three of my siblings and my dad. The youngest was actually like 8 months. So that was very hard for my dad. He had to raise us all alone. And when my mom passed away, he got a job abroad, which is in Saudi Arabia. So he had to move there that year too. And that left us with my grandmother. So my grandmother physically raised us. So when I was like growing up, my only goal was actually just to be stable in life and focus on my family. I didn't think of what I will, where I see myself maybe in 10 years. All I want to do is support my family, my siblings. And then I just focus on academics. Like I didn't even have like boyfriends and such because I was really focused on studying, being like top in class when I was high school. And I did achieve that. I was a top achiever. Like they bring me to competitions for science, math. And when I was like in college, I was very serious about education as well. It
Can we
was a
go back a little bit to the,
yeah.
time in your life back when you were 9 and
Mhm.
your mom passed away? Is it okay if I ask, like, what
Oh,
happened?
no problem. Yeah.
What happened to her?
Oh, my mom had like a kidney infection.
Wow.
And we didn't know about it for a long time because she hid it. Like, she doesn't want us to spend so much money on like hospital bills and things like that. And when it gotten worse.
Yeah.
So we had to bring her to the hospital and we thought things would be better, but then it was too late. So the last time we really spent time with her before she was brought to the hospital was like December 25 on Christmas
Mhm.
Day, December 24 rather. I think it was like in 2007. I can't forget, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So you were 9, so obviously you remember all that pretty well, right?
Yeah,
Old
I
enough.
was still so young and then I didn't know what to do and I was the eldest of four siblings, so it was tough. Yeah.
I remember when I was the eldest of 4 siblings, then my parents ended up having 8. I'm still the
Mhm.
eldest. But even just at when it was 4, that was a very heavy it felt very heavy. I remember being around that age and having 3
Mhm.
younger siblings and, like, a lot of responsibilities were on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then so then your dad ends up going to Saudi the same year. So now all of a
Mhm.
sudden it's just the 4 of you and your grandparents. Like, can you remember some of the emotions that what are the emotions from back in that time that
Mhm. The
stand
first
out?
thing I thought about that was, like, blaming God. I'm Catholic, blaming God for these things that suddenly happened to me. I was like, "Why does it have to be me, or why does it have to be my family?" And then seeing how my dad was so devastated, or I can see he was really lost as well. So I was like mad, and it was anger, sadness, feeling lost, and just don't know how to move forward with life. Even if I was still very young, I had
Yeah,
those kind of like I had those emotions. And every time I go to school, I just can't like I just feel lost.
yeah. But then somehow you ended up really doing hard work during school,
Yeah.
and what happened between being lost and feeling, again, even though you're only 9,
Mhm.
seeing your dad devastated, feeling lost, feeling like, how do I even move forward? When did you transition, or what happened so that you ended up transitioning to taking ownership or committing to taking care of your siblings, or doing well in school so that you could take care of them?
Mhm.
How long did that transition take? And what was it like?
I'm not sure when it started, or maybe because we had to live with my parents, right? Because they were
Grandparents.
taking care of us. So I think when we started to live there, and then my grandmother can't also like do everything, so I have to take my responsibilities as well. So being in a different house, and then now actually realizing what I have to do as the eldest, I think the transition just started there. Like I studied very hard and thinking of having that goal, like soon I want to finish school and also like support my siblings, and we have our own home and things. I started having these dreams like someday I want to have my own place with my family, not living at my
Yeah.
grandparents' house until
Okay.
like I grew up. So I think it started that way, just being aware and knowing that I couldn't control things because
Yeah.
I started to take actions. It was when I noticed that I realized that these things I can't control them. People die, and I have to be strong for my siblings, even if I thought of, let's say, not doing anything. If I felt lost, so
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. But I told myself that I have to be strong. I have my siblings, so I have to do what I need to do. I have
Yeah.
to be their emotional support, their big sister. Yeah,
Sounds like you reached a level of acceptance. So realizing,
yeah,
like I can't go on resenting what happened in the past and got to move
yeah,
on and accept, right? So that's a huge step
yeah.
in
Acceptance.
moving forward. But then it sounds like you also started to create a form of vision of something you wanted to create, like a future that you wanted to create rather than seeing it as burden or obligation. Because I know a lot of people, when they're thrown
Mhm.
into a situation like that, it's like, okay, well, I'm the breadwinner or I'm the person that's left
Mhm.
with the heavy obligate, the heavy, it obviously falls to me because if I don't, then nobody will, right?
Yeah.
And there's kind of two choices you can make even in that situation is like to begrudgingly do it because you have to and kind of resent it
Mhm.
the whole time and see it as obligation. But it sounds like you, even at those young ages, that you somehow started taking ownership and forming a vision of something you believed you could create and then getting
Yeah.
excited about that vision. And that
Mm.
that kind of drove you with maybe positive energy rather than negative. Is that
That's actually true. Now that you have said it, I realize like that has really been my mindset from when I was 9 until now. Like I always look at the positive side of things. Like instead of seeing situations as negative or burden, I always look at like, oh, what could the possibilities. Yeah. So I think that's what actually made me like different when I was at the young age. I was very mature because I had dreams, and even if I felt alone. My dad wasn't here. My grandmother were not that close. Even if I felt alone, I had visions of what I want to achieve for my siblings, and yeah, that kept me going. I didn't think of like the negative things that losing my mom.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And I've always, ever since I've known you, I always see this very positive. I mean, anyone who sees your smile, they instantly can see that you've got this positivity. Do you have
Yeah.
any idea, how that happened? Like, how did you become someone that I think I'm kind of always the optimist. Like, I'm really good at seeing
Mhm.
where things need to be improved. I can easily have a very critical eye because I can see like where the gaps are. And I always want to improve
Mhm.
things, but I'm still deep down always an optimist. I always see the potential. And, how do you think, you have any idea how you developed that habit or how that became your default way of seeing things?
Mm.
Any ideas?
Interesting. For me, because it was already a long time, so I'm not sure how it
Not sure.
started.
That's okay.
But yeah, because instead, I think because thinking of like the negative things, I just don't feel good with it. So I think for me to actually do something about my life, for me to have a good life, I just started having that hope
Hmm.
to have these things I want. Like that hope actually made me continue to take actions or try to enjoy life as much as I can, even when I was like little. Yeah, even at a young age, I was like, I had this very big hope. I even go to church a lot because I really believe that God will make things better for me. So I was at that very low part of my life, but I still go to church Because when I realized, like, oh, I cannot control that, or maybe God took my mom, but things will get better. Maybe He has plans for me and things like that. So that's when I had that hope. I just started seeing things more positively. Yeah.
I think hope and belief are so critical, and without them, people don't move forward. So, like, we have to be able to have a vision of something we want to create, and we also have to have some belief that we could
Mm,
actually maybe create it. Because otherwise, why would you can't motivate yourself to work toward hard
that is
things
true.
you don't believe
Yeah.
right?
It really starts with believing. And then that's where things start to come into place.
So let's talk about some of those things that have, developed in your life that
Mhm,
so you had this very, very difficult event in your young childhood. What about, in your teen years? How was that
mhm.
journey? Did you have difficulties during your teen years, or did you just like, all right, I'm gonna win school, and it was just kind of easy, or like what was that journey like?
Um, in my teen years, I mean, my grandmother races, and I'm really grateful that my grandparents were there to take care of us while my dad worked. For yeah, so but like being, we were in the same house, but for me, it didn't feel like home. Didn't feel like home because every time, like everything I do, I felt like always just mistake or I am useless and things like that. So I didn't have that much, I'd say, fun times at home when I was like a teenager. But like you can see me like crying almost every night. But I told myself that once I finish school, things will get better and I will get a new home for my family. I will be just with my family. Like so I kept holding on to that hope again. So yeah, I just kept going with school and even if I didn't feel happy at home.
And can I ask a little bit about
Mhm.
you said something about how it didn't feel like home all the way,
Yeah.
and that you were, I don't know, I'm getting the picture like you were fairly stressed out, or you were under a lot of
Mm.
stress,
Yep.
and you felt like when you made mistakes, you said something about feeling useless, or maybe not worthy enough or something. I'd
Yeah.
like to hear it. Like, can you give us an example? What kind of situations made you feel that
Mhm.
way?
Okay. So, like at home, let's say, my grandmother always brought up that she's not happy that we actually lived there. It's like telling us like you should be grateful that I let you guys stay here when you should. Yeah, it's
I
a
understand.
bit hard
It's okay. Let's
path. Yeah.
let's let's forgive her, but also recognize that was
Yeah.
difficult for you.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, so then now you're feeling. I'm imagining you're feeling extra somehow guilt.
Maybe because I'm still studying and then I couldn't bring money to to the household
I
yet.
see.
So I couldn't really do anything yet. So that's why I felt like useless because
Okay,
I
got it.
did.
So you wanted to fix that situation. You
Yeah.
wanted to alleviate. You knew
Mhm.
that she didn't feel that good about the situation. It
Mhm.
didn't feel like home all the way. You wanted to do something about that. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward a little bit to, I don't know, after school, or, what are some of the big forces or parts of your life that have grown you, from then to now? Now you've got the ability to freelance and travel,
Mhm.
and how's your family doing now? Like, did some of your dreams come true yet? Or you're still working on them?
I'm still working on them actually. But my family, my dad is already here. So we're living together. But yeah, the thing is, the whole family are still living in my grandma's house. But compared to from when I was like little, the relationship now is definitely better. And then especially because maybe also because I try to help as much as I can my family because that has been my goal to support my family, to help my dad with my siblings education. So I can say that we're doing better, and I know that there will be, yeah, more blessings that will come. Yeah, I just believe that things will are slowly getting to where I want them to be. Yeah.
This show is also, really focused on intentional personal growth, personal development, and like self
Yeah.
teaching. So I'd love to hear like what are some of the things that you think have taught you the most or grown you the most? Was it just school that gave you everything you needed to be the person you needed to be, or like
Mhm.
what other ways have you been learning and growing?
For me, I think it would be I started with like reading books, self-development books, and also like podcasts. So, yeah, I was so addicted with like Korean dramas and like people my age. I've been addicted to those, and suddenly I listened to one podcast, and it changed I think it changed my life actually, because the moment I started listening to podcasts and reading self-development books, it actually changed my mindset. Like it shifted my mindset. So what I can remember is that once became aware of like my thoughts and how I can actually change my life with my mindset or with my thoughts, I then took actions, becoming that person. So it's like,
What was the podcast again?
oh, podcast.
What do you
I
remember which one?
The specific one I don't remember, but it is the mindset mentor. Yeah, the specific episode I don't
That's
remember.
okay. I meant the show. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you hear this show and
Mhm.
the specific episode is talking about kind of the way you talk to yourself or the language that you use with yourself or self-talk, or what was it that what was that kind of awareness or realization
Mhm.
that you had?
Yeah, like the self-talk. Like you can change your thoughts, and your thoughts can change your actions, and your actions can actually change your reality or your what's happening in your lives.
So realizing that, the power of thoughts, or just
Mhm.
being more aware. Like I remember when this happened to me, like realizing I wasn't paying very much attention. I wasn't in the habit of paying attention to what the inner narrative is, the things that I'm
Yeah.
saying to myself. We've always got this chatter happening all the time. And I remember when I realized, oh my God, like
Mhm.
I think this is causing me a lot of problems because it's causing me anger, and I've got stories that are not serving me, that I'm
Mhm.
repeating and repeating about other people, about myself. And then I remember, my journey, but like how did that realization, how did you use it? How did you apply it? How did it change you?
Okay. So I think it started when I was in college, because from what we talk about, I had this like feeling lost or anger for being like things just not going my way. Like I'm not happy at home, or I haven't really achieved anything yet. So when I almost like finished my degree, that's when it started. I started to think of what I really want in life. Like I want to be financially successful. I want to be traveling the world. I want to help my family with the education. How I want to support my family, things like that. So that's what happened. And then I just started like believing things will get better. And when I started like talking to myself, like this is what you want. This is If this is what you want, this is what you have to think of, and this is what you have to do. So
Right.
I just it shifting my mindset, it shifted my identity as well. So when I started like working, and then I just kept on focusing on my goals, on what I want. For example, I have this 9 to 5 job, and then I wanted to travel. So I started thinking, if I wanted to travel, what should my mindset be, or action should I
Achieve.
take?
Mm.
Yeah. So that's when I started like exploring, like exploring jobs, and then I learned about freelancing. I learned about freelancing, and then I was like, this will be very hard shift in my life, because freelance as a freelancer, as a beginner freelancer, the salary is not as big as a 9 to 5 job. But I was like, but I want to be traveling the world. And what if I just try? What if I say fuck yeah to this? Yeah, I with this meeting, I gave you a note about me actually teaching myself to always say fuck yeah. I now remember the first podcast that really hit me hard from that Mindset Mentor podcast was actually like say fuck yeah to things. And that's what I applied in my life. Like I have a 9 to 5 job. I want to be traveling. I learned about freelancing and I was like, fuck yeah to freelancing. So I didn't have any plans. I didn't know what's gonna happen, but I just like took the step to try out freelancing. But I still have my 9 to 5 job. I still hold on to it. So I
Back then
just
or even now? Back when you were
but right
back when you were
now,
re you're saying back when you were researching freelancing, you held
yeah,
on to the job until you figured it out or something, right?
yeah.
To
That
transition.
was I had a 9 to 5 job years ago
Right, right,
before
right. Okay.
pandemic.
Alright, so
Mm.
going back, you just said a lot of really cool things.
Mhm,
Sounds like there was this moment, this period, I think you said maybe it was in college or something toward the end of
mhm.
school, it sounded like,
Ends of school, yeah.
where you realized that you had been maybe holding a fairly negative some negative self-talk
Mm,
about the way things are, like you're disgruntled or maybe resentful about what is in your life,
yes.
maybe, and that you recognized when you got this idea, like, "Hey, maybe I just need to change my mindset," and you started practicing.
I think it just happened because my friends really like adventures, and I think it's really important to be with people who have ambitions or who likes going on adventures too. So we started just like Cebu. They would invite me, let's go on a hike. Let's do this. Let's go to Malboa. Let's go to the beach and things like that. So we, even with our 9 to 5 job on the weekends, we do that. We have fun. And then that's when my dream of traveling started because I was traveling around Cebu. I wanted to travel outside Cebu and I wanted to travel outside the Philippines. So it started that way because I have something I always look forward to on the weekends and it just became a dream. Like, yeah. And now I'm very focused on really getting there and just continuing and doing actions towards full time traveling. Yeah.
Nice. What do you I wanna come back to the, saying "fuck yeah" to things and saying
Yeah.
yes, and, like, I wanna go back to that in a minute, but I wanna talk about travel a little bit more because I know you've been doing quite a bit of it. So those adventures and travel, what do you
Mhm.
think what do you think the benefits to that? Like, what does it do for you? Other than just because I think some people look at travel and are like, "Oh, well, that's just a luxury and that's just fun." But
Mhm.
what have you found? Like, have you found other benefits?
Mhm. For me, traveling actually is like being in college. You learn so much stuff because you are really experience them. For example, like the culture of that country. And also, you learn more about yourself. When I started traveling, I learned like, oh, I can actually do this. I can do solo traveling. I can survive just being in a place where I don't know anyone, I don't know what to do next, and things like that. It made me learn more about myself and also change my mindset in terms of, let's say, like in situations, in problems. Yeah, it just made me learn more about myself and made me look forward more to life, how my life will unfold. Yeah.
Nice. Travel, yeah, I think travel is, like, one of the most incredible teachers of anything that we can ever do, and especially
Mhm.
solo travel. I totally agree with you, and I've said this many times that across all the people I've met from so many different countries, like, I don't know how many thousands of people I've talked to in my life, but one huge pattern that I've seen over and over and over again is that the people who have done solo travel
Mhm.
are just they've grown as people on a different speed, different trajectory than other people. It's a huge difference. People who haven't
Mhm.
traveled at all, but especially solo, and, it's
Yeah.
like, here's people who never travel. Here's people who have traveled. Here's people who've traveled solo, like, grows so much faster. That's really amazing. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
it over and over again, so that's amazing. What would you say to people out there who are like, "Yeah, but I would have to I don't have the money right now. My job doesn't let
Mhm.
me, my family doesn't let me, like, travel isn't an option for me." What would you say to them?
Mhm. Actually, that's what I have always been thinking. Because when I post like photos from my travels, and a lot of people would message me like, "Oh, I wish I'm like you, like just travel around the world."
They're like Sana all, right?
Yeah. Many people would message me that they want to do what I'm doing as well. They would ask me like, "How did you do it?" And then what I always tell them, "How about you start traveling now?" I always tell them that, and they would reply, "Oh, but I have my 9 to 5 job. I don't have that money." And I think for me, that those are actually excuses. Okay, you'll give me like a reason, like, no, it's not an excuse. It's a fact that I have this and things like that. But everything in life, there are alternatives. Like you can do something step by step to actually achieve that goal. Okay, let's say you have a 9 to 5 job. It's okay. You can keep that 9 to 5 job. What you can do is like, let's say you have the weekends, travel around your city or town, explore. Let's say if you're from Cebu, go to south of Cebu on the weekends and then go back on weekdays for work. You don't have money, what I did when I was still starting out with traveling, because I really wanted to travel, so I planned it like I wanted to travel, I don't have the money, so I save up like 3 months, let's say, for that plane ticket, and then after I get that plane ticket, I save another, few months
Yeah,
again
for the
for my
cash, for the
budget.
travel. Nice.
Yeah, so it's really, if you want something, you will find options or alternatives on how to achieve that, not just always tell yourself. That's where changing your mindset comes. Like you keep thinking, I don't have this, I don't have that. What if you start thinking what you have? Like I still have my weekends. Okay. I have salary. Okay, so save your salary and then just step by step. That's what I really want to tell people. Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I love the things you're saying, but in order for someone to go through the work of,
Mhm.
so you decided, "All right, look, I" it sounds to me like you had friends that were traveling. You traveled a
Yeah.
bit on your own. You're doing it on the weekends. You start realizing, like, this is growing me. I feel more awe for life. Like, I feel more excited for life. I feel more
That's right.
drive. I feel
Yeah.
more curiosity. I'm learning about other cultures and other places, and my perspective on the world is changing. All
Mhm.
is this all fair? And then you're like, "Okay, so I wanna prioritize travel more."
Yeah.
And then you get, instead of saying, "Well, I just can't," because you could have easily just said, "Can't,"
Yeah.
you said, "Well, how can I?" And then you started researching it, and you're like, "Okay, maybe freelancing could be the way that I do it." And it's not the only way you could have done it, but it's one way. And then you
Mhm.
you you went down that path and figured it out, right?
Yeah.
So, but all that would require kind of a belief that traveling is worth it, that makes any sense. So what would you say to somebody who hears all this and says, "Okay, that sounds beautiful, but I really can't imagine myself doing that because it sounds too selfish." What would you
Mhm.
say to them then?
I had those thoughts as well because I was traveling. I thought of like my family that they are still in Cebu while I'm here in Bali, Indonesia. So I had those thoughts and then I told my friends about it. Like I felt guilty. I felt like I'm selfish. And they actually told me, but you have your own life too. You're doing your best to support your family. You have to do something for yourself as well. Because if you just focus on, let's say, supporting your family, you'll develop this resentment. Let's say years from now, you're just focusing on that. You'll develop this resentment that what if I did something for myself? What if I actually traveled and
Yeah,
enjoy life? You'll
right.
develop that resentment and then you will just feel burned out.
Yeah.
That's what they told me. You will burn out if you just focus on this thing. Do something that actually makes you feel alive.
Totally.
and that impacted me so much. And so
I think
I
you have s
now
you have
I try. Yes.
I think you have some wise friends because I think that's really powerful
Mhm.
advice, and,
Yeah.
the metaphor of putting the oxygen mask on before you put it on someone else, or if you're in a
Mhm.
flood, like, gotta get out of the flood before you can rescue anyone.
That's
There's a lot of metaphors you can use for this, but I've seen so many people where they live their entire lives under the obligation
mhm.
of taking care of others, but they don't actually grow themselves. So
Yeah.
maybe they don't take care of themselves, and then you don't take care of yourself, you burn out. But if you don't grow yourself, you also don't become more valuable. And as the world changes and the world changes and people get older, like you end up in your 30s or 40s, you're not really that much more valuable to the world than you were
Mhm.
when you were in your 20s. And that doesn't help your family either. Right. So I really admire people who are at young ages like you, who are making that very courageous choice
Yeah.
to go out into the world and keep getting experiences, because it actually, not only is it good for you being excited and loving life, but it's also growing you, and
Mhm.
the value that you will be able to bring to the world around you that will benefit your family is going to be exponentially more in your 30s than it would be if you just stayed home under the obligation of
Yeah.
taking care of your family. So I think it's
That's true.
great.
Becoming valuable, I really like that because I actually noticed that I started traveling because it made me feel so happy, so excited about life. And then now that I'm traveling more, I started to think of things on how I can help the community or how I can help other people too to make their dreams come true, especially with traveling. So I started thinking like, what if I make a business like this? What if I do social media this way and things like that? So it made me think of how I can be more vulnerable, not just for
Nice.
myself, for my family, but also to the world. Yeah,
So
that's
you
what
want
travel
so you
is.
you want to inspire other people to prioritize travel more?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why I've been working on or planning like my TikTok because I just wanted to put my stories out there because when I'm traveling, I have so many crazy stories, unexpected things that happen to me that leaves me, whoa, I didn't expect this to turn this. I didn't expect the situation to turn this way. And then I'm like, I want to tell people about this to inspire them to just say fuck yeah to adventures, to just say fuck yeah to life and believe in themselves and believe in the universe that things will be so much better for them. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. So I'm glad we circled back to that. So I'm very nearly finished with a book called Scary Equals Happy. And the reason that I started writing that book so long ago was that I wanted to just kind of highlight or shine a spotlight on the truth that I discovered, that there's so many times in life where we are facing a potential
Mm-hmm.
decision or whatever, and like we're in the habit typically as humans of kind of moving away from or avoiding the things that make us uncomfortable. So we don't, most of the time we're not jumping into the things that make us uncomfortable, we're moving away from them,
Yeah.
right? And what I discovered was like it's all those uncomfortable things that aren't
Mm-hmm.
actually dangerous. So I'm not saying, if it's actually going to kill you, don't do it. But most of the time when we're afraid of things, it's not actually dangerous, we're just uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about saying yes to things that people generally don't say yes to, and the reasons they don't say yes to them is because they're kind of scared of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's your philosophy, or how would you help people? Sounds like you're advocating something similar to what I'm trying to say in this book, I think, is like get in the habit of saying yes to things that you otherwise wouldn't. Is that fair?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's it.
so what has been why do you advocate that? Why are you saying to say?
Because I think there are people my age who, like me, felt lost too when they had a degree, started their new job, and started thinking of what they want in life. Even my me and my friends talk about it. Like we felt lost. We don't know what to do, where to be in like years from now. And I just want to tell people, mostly people my age or even those who are older than me, to just say yes to opportunities or things that will actually lead them to where they want to be. So I want to, I
Yeah.
just felt like I want to see more people, a happy people enjoying life. Because I received so many messages about them wanting to travel as well, wanting to live life like me. They always tell me, like, oh, you're really living life. I want to be like that too. That's what really pushed me or encouraged me
Right.
to tell people how they can do it, how they can live life. And that's my first tip, to just say yes to opportunities, to possibilities, and then things will just come into place just step by step.
I want to highlight something about this because if somebody's listening to this, they might think that in order to say yes to something, you need to have an offer. Like somebody comes to you and says, "Okay, well, would you like blah 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 blah?" But I don't think
Mhm.
that's what you're saying because in your
Yeah.
story, you're saying, "I had the thought inside me that I want to travel more."
Hmm.
And I think what I'm hearing is that you said yes to yourself. Like you said yes to the idea. You said yes to the possibility, and then you went and pursued that possibility. Is that am I hearing correctly?
Yeah, that's true. I just had that kind of mindset. And then actually, the travels just came to me. I created some of my travels. Like, I planned for it. I want to go to Bali. I will save for it this for like 6 months. I saved for it for 6 months. I will book the ticket, save for my travel budget. So I created those travels. But I also have travels who just came to me like, first, let's travel here, and then,
Did that require meeting other people?
yeah, that it required meeting other people. Let's say my first ever travel was with outside the country, was with someone, but I didn't ask for it. It just came to me, and I was like, oh, okay, I will. This is like a blessing, so I'll accept this. So I think it's not just about travel. It can be like in your career, in like relationships, financial abundance. As long as you just start with your mindset and take actions, there are a lot of opportunities that will come to you. Yeah. You will
Nice.
create some, but some will come to you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you hear a lot about, let's say, The Secret was this, book and movie or film that kinda
Hmm.
started this movement of people talking about setting intentions or putting out to the universe what you want, and I really do believe in the power of that, and I don't know that any of us fully understand why it works, but some of the reasons that it works, when you set that intention, you're
Hmm.
opening up your mind to see things that you wouldn't have otherwise seen. You're
Yeah.
gonna put yourself in situations, you're positioning like you set yourself up with your lifestyle so that you
Hmm.
had the potential to say yes. If you hadn't, created the freelancing, if you hadn't learned how to do that, you wouldn't be able to say yes because you'd have to quit your job or something, right?
Yeah.
You put yourself in situations where you're meeting new people. Like by setting the intention, you're just
Hmm.
already opening up so many more opportunities, like by positioning and awareness, because you're like tuning into things that you otherwise would just actually close your mind to. You wouldn't
Yeah.
look at them. You wouldn't think about
That's
them.
true.
So it really requires that, you create a vision, you start to believe in it a bit, and then you start to say, like, yes to yourself. Like, yes, I can create this. Yes, I'll ask the universe for it. Yes, I'll put intention, I'll set the intention. And
Mm-mm.
I found the same things to be very, very, very true. It's like sometimes I consciously, very logically plan something, but
Mm.
more often things just fall into my life. I'm like, okay, I just set that intention yesterday. What the hell? Where did that person come from? What the
Yeah.
hell? Like very specific things. And now it just happens like I'm not trying to force anything. I'm not trying to plan it out. I'm not trying to script it. I just set the intention. Like, this is what I think I would like next. I need
Mhm.
this. And then the
Mhm.
next day, the thing shows up, or maybe a week later or 2 weeks later, the perfect thing just appears. It's
Yeah.
really crazy.
It is crazy. That's why I even tell myself, like, okay, I always tell myself to say yes to things, and my life is just really that. I always remind myself that. And I also always tell myself that everything just works out for me.
Yeah.
Like, everything just works out. It really is effective because I've had that kind of intention that everything works out for me when unexpected circumstances that could become that would people think as a problem. Let's say there's a problem that came into my life, and then I always just tell myself everything will work out for me.
Yeah.
I am in this situation, but it will get better because things always get better for me. And things just does. Like, let's say the recent situation I have would be I traveled to Bali, Indonesia. And then the first time it was the first time I got like flagged by the immigration because I was traveling here so much, and they were like, "Why is she here again?" And then there was it was possible that they won't let me in the country. So of course, I was started like panicking, thinking negative things like, "Oh, what if they won't let me in? What will I do? What about my ticket? I spent so much for this," things like that. And then I caught myself like, "Whoa, just stop! Like, don't think about that. You know that you are just a tourist or that you will leave the country before 2 months. So just think that things will get better, even if you don't know how. Just believe that." And then
Trust.
it really did. Like,
Yeah.
they let me in. That happened to me in Philippine immigration too. And I just told myself, nah, things will get better. I don't have to worry about this. And it just happened too. So that's really cool how it's so effective. And even in addition to that kind of experience that I had, I was almost stopped with the Philippine immigration, and they asked me so many questions. They had me book tickets, and I was so worried that I won't make it to my flight because I was there for like an hour, and then my flight is gonna leave soon. And then suddenly I received a message that my flight is delayed. So that's how things,
Nice.
yeah,
Perfect. Thank you.
that's
Thank you
really
for
amazing.
sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing
So,
those stories. I'm looking forward to following your TikTok, and maybe we can find other ways to collaborate because we are big fans of travel. We believe it's a really good idea for people. It's a huge part of
Mhm.
personal growth. It's actually one of the best growth hacks that there is just move to another place, like move your ass somewhere else, and
Yeah.
you'll change your perspective on your whole life and yourself and everything. I love all the things you're just now saying about, believe continuing to tell yourself that things always work out for you.
Yeah.
I'm always working. I'm really trying to work on this myself. It's just kind of trusting, like when I'm in a state of abundance
Mhm.
and trusting the universe that things just do. They work out, they work out. It's when I start worrying and when I start thinking that there's not gonna be enough money or, like, just
Yeah.
whatever it is, like scarcity energy and
Yeah.
fear, things get actually start spiraling down, like, it's just not but or fewer good things just fall into my life. I don't know what the deal is, but the more I trust, the more it just keeps happening, and I have kind of a almost last question connected to all of that for me is the power of the state of gratitude, and I'm just kind of curious if you have any
Mhm.
thoughts on that.
Yes. I think, yeah, my life changed with changing my mindset, shifting to positivity or saying fuck yes to things. Yes, my life changed when I started having those. But for me, the thing that really has very big impact on me was gratitude. I really started being grateful for the things that I have and for the things that are coming to me. So
Nice.
when I start having like scarcity mindset, like, oh, I don't have that, my salary is not that big, it's things are like this and things like that. I'm having this kind of problems. I shifted to being grateful, like being grateful to the universe or being grateful to God. Like, you have this, you're waking up every morning. Be grateful about that. So I always like every morning, that's the moment I wake up, that's what I do. I pray to God or to the universe, and I always say, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for waking up today. I'm grateful for having my family being so supportive. I always start my day like that. And I think that's what really changed my life. When you just start seeing what you want, what you're grateful for, or what are the things you can be grateful for, abundance will just come to you.
Nice.
Like just be in that state of gratitude, and your mindset will change. Like you'll be more positive, you'll have more hope, you'll look forward to the things in life, even you're experiencing like problems. You have that kind of, you're grateful, you're still grateful. So that's where things will get better. You
So when
start being grateful.
so when you started practicing gratitude, like you started to
Yeah.
see more good things.
Yeah. That's where it really started. I was grateful for my life. And then I had the mindset of looking forward to how my life will unfold, and then just becoming happy, saying yes to things that are coming to me. And that's where
Nice.
things are, yeah.
Well, thank you for being here and having this conversation and telling us some of your story. And I really love the way you are living your life. Like from what I can see, it's amazing
Mhm.
to see you saying fuck yeah to things and going and getting experiences and like the trust that you have that if you keep focusing on improvement and growth and learning and new experiences that you'll keep getting, just keep getting better. So
Yeah.
I love
I
the
still
mindset.
have a lot working on for me. Let's say I still have a
Love
lot
to
of
hear.
goals I wanted to achieve, but I believe that I'm going to achieve them soon. So I'm not worrying about that.
Good.
Again,
What's
for those people, yeah.
Yeah, what's like tell us what's something that you feel like, that you're still struggling with that you're where you want to learn or improve?
Mm. For me, it's always the financially. I want to be successful financially. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I know that I'm really sure that I will get there because I'm like creating a project for myself, and I can see that slowly things are financial abundance is coming to me slowly, and I always just embrace it. I'm not where, let's say, I want to be, to have like 2 million or something. I'm not there yet, but I will get there. So those who are also struggling, let's say they think they're struggling financially, things will get better for you. Just, think that money is everywhere anyway. So you'll have your salary soon, you'll have more soon. So just always believe. So that's what I'm working on, being financially successful, and also working on my career. And another one would be like my body being fit. And for all those goals that I have, I'm slowly working on them while keeping that mindset of gratitude and saying, fuck yeah, thanks.
Nice. Thank you for that. Well, Rai, thank you so much for being here today and I appreciate the conversation and looking forward to keeping in touch.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you so much, Milan.
quite inspiring. I love your energy. Thank you.
Thank you. It was really nice to be here, and I hope to inspire more people to be grateful, say fuck yeah to adventures to life, and just look forward to how your life will unfold and get better. I wish you well with this project as well, and I hope we inspire and motivate more people around the world. Yeah.
See you soon.
So much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this interview on Emerge Stories. We really hope that something here sparked your curiosity or maybe helped you think about something in your life just from a little bit of a different angle or perspective, maybe opened up your mind to something you might be able to do in your life to take more ownership of your own learning and growth. That's the goal of this show. So please join our community, like and share, and tell other people about these stories if they're meaningful for you. And thanks so much for being here.